We want to bring in career trial attorney Wendy Patrick to discuss this. The timing of us being in this courtroom and hearing all of the information, all of the evidence they have against this man, this cruel man who reportedly, and again, I know it's allegedly, disposed of his wife's body after dismembering her in their basement of their rented home and then dumped the body at different locations. Wow. So they did find at least some evidence, even though they said it sounds like that the body was completely incinerated or destroyed in the trash.
You know, what was really telling about that recitation of facts in court is it answers so many questions that we have had over the course of the last couple of days, especially since Brian Walsh was formally charged. You'll recall at the press conference, the DA was appropriately circumspect and not revealing the details, waiting instead for what we just heard in open court at arraignment. And we now know what we've known for a long time. There's no such thing as a perfect murder. There's always circumstantial evidence. You know, forensics in particular tell the story the victim cannot. In combination with the circumstantial evidence of death, such as not showing up for work, having 3 young children and not caring for them, there's lots of reasons that the public already suspected. Apparently law enforcement did as well. And what you just heard in court is the confirmation forensically of those suspicions.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't have to be Sherlock to figure out some of these things. I mean, the broken knives in the basement, the hacksaw that was bloodied, that was found, I believe, near her mother's home. But the fact that investigators were able to ping his phone, just like we saw with the Idaho murder case, they were able to detect where he was near these dumpsters. And then they had video evidence of him lifting a heavy object into one of those dumpsters. And apparently there was a portion of her body that was put in the forest somewhere. I think that's what we're seeing footage of, is people searching in the forest or wooded area near their home.
You know, in connection with all of that circumstantial evidence that you just mentioned, and I agree, all of it's very important, there's also the statements of the defendant himself. Remember that one of the things law enforcement looks at and looks for is statements that are inconsistent with the suspect's movements that are captured by, in this case, phone pinging, surveillance video. And then the question arises, why would there be an attempt to mislead investigators? There's always an issue of words matter when you're looking at what can we deduce if we don't immediately have a body. And in that respect, you're seeing that what Brian Walsh actually said and didn't say is also on trial. And that's going to be a big part of the case, regardless if it gives any statements to investigators from this point on. It's just one more piece to the puzzle that, as we just heard in court, is being solved more and more so every day. And our prayers go out to the family of this dear woman, Ana Walshe. It's just a tragedy.
Her children are only 2, 4, and 6 years old. Not that any of this makes sense, and not that you can ever make sense of sheer evil. But did it appear that he was trying to cover his tracks or make it look like there was some stranger danger where leaving a portion of her dismembered body in the woods would somehow throw investigators off of his trail?
You know, one of the most challenging parts of looking sort of in reverse chronological order after a murder is answering the question that you asked, is what was the motive? Legally, motive doesn't matter. But you can rest assured it matters to a jury and it matters to investigators. And as they continue to search, not only through what he was doing on the internet, what he said to whom, we also, by the way, want to see, did he ever refer to her in the past tense? There's lots of different ways in which suspects slip up. I don't know whether we're going to hear about any of that in this case, but what he was attempting to do by the scattering of remains is probably something under investigation. And my guess is we're going to learn about it hopefully in the next court hearing, or at least when we start presenting the evidence formally.
Does Massachusetts have the death penalty?
That you're going to have to look up, because remember, state and federal, those things change like the wind. And that's what I always say. Every year, make sure you look at your state and decide whether or not it has these types of what the penalties are. And I got to say, even if the answer were yes, remember, there's also very different delay times in terms of whether somebody actually gets executed. So it's an important question for sure. It's also a question that any state that has it is going to have to answer internally within the charging office in deciding whether or not this case is appropriate. But I do have to say there's lots of aggravating factors in a case like this, you bet.
It's just so sad, and even just the details that portions of her necklace that she was seen wearing were found in that dumpster. How cruel. Thank you, Wendy Patrick, for your time this morning.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.